Welcome to Women's Empowerment Coffee Break, and I am your host, Rochelle Higgins. I am so happy that you are all with us. Today we have Dr. Shanate Porter, and she is going to talk about the journey of uncertainty. So, her roots are from metropolitan Atlanta, Georgia. She's an esteemed educator and entrepreneur. She gave life to Christ in April of 2007. Now she resides in Las Vegas, Nevada. She received a doctoral degree in education and is currently pursuing ownership of a public charter school. So I'm so excited that she decided to do this interview with us on today. So, Shanae, tell us, what does it feel like when you're on navigating this journey of life of uncertainty?
Mm. So as you can hear from my bio, I went from Atlanta to Las Vegas. So I would say during that period of time, I experienced something, just being transparent, I experienced something a bit embarrassing, and I had to go from Atlanta to Las Vegas. Um, but in that time period, and even right now, there's a lot of things that had to change. And so the uncertainty part was one, navigating my career, because I had my plans. As you know, when we make our plans,
Right.
God laughs, right? And so, so I made my plans while I was in Atlanta, and it went to trash. So in Las Vegas, it has been uncertain. However, it has been rewarding because I was able to meet a lot of people and experience a lot of experiences. So even in this uncertainty, I have to really rely on God a lot.
So, how when you're navigating and you're unsure about like the plans God has for you, like how have you always navigated that, like discerning where God is saying,
Mm.
and like you say, you make your plans and you can make
And
that
God
last.
laughs. Yeah.
So, like, tell me about how you decided to like discern the Lord's voice when it was like, okay, it's time to pivot, it's time to go another direction.
So definitely when an incident happened, it was time. It was very, very clear for me that God is like, it's time for you to move, right? And so I've always told you, my other friends, I'm like, I'll never leave Atlanta. I'll never leave. I'm the only child. I have my parents home. Like, I'll never leave. But I didn't have a choice, like, basically, I had to leave. And so I think the part of me was a little bit lost in regards to my faith, in regards to like listening and hearing God.
Right.
So it's just like, I know a lot of people are like, how do you hear God? You hear God through experiences. And God will show you, yes, you were planning this, but I have you coming here. And so the first thing that I did, and I know that people don't want to do it, but the first thing I did was fast. I fasted, and in that fasting period, I was praying. And God also revealed to me that you'll be moving again. So this hasn't happened yet. And I'm sure whoever's tuning in, you guys will hear about it or see about it or whatever. But that's how much I have faith in God. But he said, you'll be moving again. And in that period of time, when I hear God, it's not like, I don't know who follows Pastor Prophet Covey or anything like that, but it's not like you hear an actual person, right? For me, I hear thoughts. That's not my own. I hear revelations. That's not my own. And I'm just like, that's not something that I would think of. Right.
Yeah.
And so when I'm praying and I'm fasting, I'll hear those thoughts. That would be my first sign. And then someone would, what you call confirmation. Somebody would confirm it. So I was sitting in a coffee shop with Jordan Hakins, executive director of Southern Nevada Black Educators of Initiative. she sat there and she was talking to me. She said, I don't know, Shanae. I feel like you're not going to be in the classroom. I feel like you're going to be somewhere else. And that was confirmation because during that time I was fasting.
Right.
She didn't know I was fasting. And as the word tells you, when David started fasting, he didn't tell anybody. Right. And so you have to be sure about when you are fasting and when you are praying. You don't tell anybody, because when you're fasting and praying, somebody can come up and try to mess up what you got going on, and they'll try to come in and say some things because they know, like, oh, I know you're trying to hear from God, or whatever. But at this time, I don't have family here. I don't have a lot of friends. I probably have one friend, two friends. And I don't have anybody else there. So I'm fasting. Right. This is back in March. I'm fasting, and she don't know me from Eve. And she just came up and she was like, you're not gonna be where you're at. And that was confirmation. And so a lot of times when I'm navigating uncertainty, I have to fast because I get in my feelings. Emotions are high during this time because you're uncertain. I already struggle with undiagnosed ADHD. So I feel like I'm always all over the place. Anybody that knows me, I'm always doing something. And so I understand that about me. So I have to get in a quiet place. And my quiet place is fasting, because I have to always be on alert of, I can't eat this, I can't drink this, and so I have to hear from God. So navigating that uncertainty, like you said, I usually go from fasting first.
But for viewers who may be like new to the Christian faith, or people who've never fasted before, like what would you suggest if they've never done that before? Like, how would they navigate through it without knowing,
without even fasting?
Right.
Proverbs. Read the book of Proverbs. When you are in certainty, I implore you to read the book of Proverbs. The Proverbs is just a big book of wisdom. It talks about your friendships. It talks about your family. It talks about you. It talks about your wants and your needs. I would say start at not even Psalms. I'm sorry. I would say start at Proverbs. Read the book of Proverbs, and that is considered a book of wisdom. And so that helps you navigate decisions that you make. Right. So if I'm around certain people, because even when you first get saved, you're still around the same people. Right. So they're still doing the same things that kind of throw you off. Right. And so when you read the book of Proverbs, you're like, oh, wait, as far as being angry, be slow to speak when you're angry. Right. I struggle with anger management. Be slow to speak. That thing hits me like a bit raw, right? I'm not fasting, but however, if I'm with my friends and I get angry about something that they're doing, it's like, be slow to speak. So you have to hold your tongue. Self-control is another one. Another thing is understanding that who's wise in your circle and who are fools.
I was just about to ask you that, because sometimes we trust our friends or people that's in our circle, and before we make decisions, we go to those people first. We know sometimes to go to God, but then we hear from God, and then we go back and go to people in our circle. So how do you know, like, when God is saying something and then someone is like making you doubt the uncertainty that you have? Like, it's like they confirm, like, no, you're supposed to go that way, but they're like, no, that sounds like you shouldn't go that way. Like, how do you help someone not make a mistake by taking? It's good advice,
bad advice,
but it's good advice because they have the best interest at heart. Okay, but they
have their own best interest at heart,
right? Okay, and they don't understand like what the big picture that God is trying to take you. And to them, they may stir you the wrong way. Like, how do you and not offend the person by making the right decision where God is steering you to?
I know that I don't know if you guys know Dr. Darius Daniels,
Mhm.
but I suggest a lot of his books. And one of his books is Relational Intelligence.
Yes, I've read it. Yes.
I sent you that.
For the viewers that are watching, this is my best friend. So she's like, I'm gonna give you this.
Yes.
Yes. So she bought it for me. She shipped it to my house. And it was a
Mhm.
really good read.
Yes.
Yes.
And so with relational intelligence, it's very important for you to understand, especially when you first get saved. So I would say I need to go back to when I got saved in 2007. So Jesus Christ help us all. When I first got saved, the only people I would go to are people that was around me when I got saved, and that was you. That was my godmom. That was Rakita.
Yeah.
That was my pastor. And I didn't trust anybody else with advice. Say you mentioned something, they didn't have good. Not that they don't have bad intentions. A lot of times your friends have good intentions for you. A lot of times they are like, they want the best for you. They've lived their life. They had their experiences, but they didn't have experiences with God. They didn't have experiences with God. And it's not to offend them, but it's just like, I need to know from somebody who had experience with God. Right. So like I said with the book, I have a few friends. I have about 3 people. You're one of them. I'm just being real. I have 3 people that I go to when it's time to truly pray for something deep. And I go and I think about, and if you guys read the Bible, it's just a time to open it up. I go to the story of Jesus when he went to Mount Sinai. And he had to he didn't have to, but he only took 3 of his disciples, right? Jesus had 12 disciples. But what people don't understand is, even in them 12 disciples, he had hundreds of disciples. He had hundreds of people that was following him and willing to do whatever he wanted, but they was in his inner circle, right? And so when we talk about, oh, no new friends, right? He had his 12 friends that he was like, these my friends, they go with me wherever. But even in that 12, he only had 3. Those 3 was John, Peter, and James. Thank you. And they went up there with him. And if you understand what happened with Jesus at Mount Sinai, is that was a very vulnerable moment for Jesus. Very vulnerable. And only 3 out of 12 made it where he was able to be comfortable enough to talk to them about it. Right. And so I look at my life and I say, yes, I don't have 12 people in my immediate circle, but even in the people that are my immediate circle, there are only a few that when it's time for me to talk about sacrifices, to talk about uncertainty in life, I'm calling those people. I'm like, hey, I'm praying about this because I have confidence that they're going to pray for me. I'm not going to have confidence in the friends that I love so very much. I'm not going to have confidence in the friends that are not quite saved yet. And if they are saved, they're not at my level. And I don't say that in a negative way. I say that in a way of understanding. I say that in a way of reflection. I say that in a way of where they're at in life. And so you have to understand that. And so that's where wisdom comes from. That's why I talk about Proverbs. So when you talk about Jesus and he decided to bring Peter, I would say Peter is one of the people in his life that people would debate, like, well, he ended up betraying him. Peter had a moment. Right? Judas had a whole decision. Right. But Peter had a moment and he told Peter he was going to have this moment. But he knew Peter would ride and die for him. Right. Peter would pray for him. Peter would, sit there and cut off somebody's ear for him. right? So he knew how loyal Peter was. And so the thing is, I understand you have to be able to discern as a new believer who's going to sit there and tell you it's a no when you say something. It's a no. I'm checking you at the door. That's the truth of the matter. I'm checking you at the door. I don't care how great you are. I don't care what degrees you have. I don't care how close to God that you are. It's a no, Shanae. You're wrong. How many people in your life is going to tell you that? And you look at people like that and you say, you know what, I honor what they have to say. You may not agree. You may not agree at that time. You may not agree ever. But you also know that they have your best interest at heart. And when you call them and you ask them for prayer, they're going to pray. Even if they pray on the spot, they're going to pray. So I think that during these uncertain times, it's important to be like, hey, these are the people that I need to call. Right? I don't need to call my worldly friends that I go to club with. I don't need to call. This is just me being honest. I don't need to call my friends who's struggling themselves and they need advice from me. Right? I don't need to call those friends. Not that they are not friends. That's why I told y'all, Pastor Dr. Darius Daniels, read the book of Relational Intelligence. You'll understand because I don't need to call those friends. Everybody's in separate categories. So when I'm talking to Rochelle and I'm like, okay, minister, I need you to pray for me right now. I went through a broken engagement. I need you to pray right now. I need you to give me wisdom. I know that's like right now, like I'm blinded by what's happening or whatever the case is. I respected Rochelle and her husband enough to be like, I need y'all to counsel us, all of these things, because I knew that they would do it with integrity and they would do it with objectivity. And so it's just like, okay, this is what's going on right now. And I know this is a person that's not going to judge me. They're not going to talk behind my back. They're not going to say anything that's mean to me and downgrade me, but they're going to truly give me their thoughts and understanding, and they're going to back it up with the word. So that is the time when you get saved. So I was fortunate enough to have people that already knew the word in my circle when I got saved. But if you're not fortunate enough, I implore you to go forward and get friends, even if it's on social media. I implore you to go be a part of groups, a part of text message groups or messaging groups on Facebook to say, hey, I'm struggling, but I'm a new believer and I need guidance. Because you need a believer in your circle. You need a true believer and an experienced believer, not someone that's going through it with you, but you need an experienced believer because everything that they say to you, they're going to back it up with the word.
Wow, that was great. You really like detailed that so well for us to get a greater understanding. Because there's been times in life where I've had those moments of I feel like God is shifting me. I feel like God is moving me, and I've had those moments of uncertainty. And I, go and say, well, this is what I think God is saying. Pray for me.
Yeah.
And even when I decided to go to New Jersey,
yes, I prayed real hard. I was praying real hard.
Yeah, making that major leap, was really hard. Really hard. Never lived, don't have just like you lived from Atlanta to Nevada.
Yeah.
Moving from Alabama to New Jersey was a big move where it was just like I don't know if this is the right direction. But like you said, having those people that's gonna pray, having those people that's gonna encourage, having those people that are in your corner that's gonna help make you or cheer you on, even if you're uncertain, they're gonna be in your corner. Like, okay, I believe that you have enough discernment to make the right decision.
And have faith in you.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's amazing. So what about like you going from working with children with autism? Well, no, let's go back from your teenage years, working with children, daycare.
Yeah.
Did you in that moment? Did you ever believe that you would be a doctor?
I believed that I was going to be a doctor in medicine. Yeah. So I wanted to be a gynecologist, That was my first thought process. Um, I was like, because I knew I wanted to work with women and children in some capacity. So I was like, I want to be a gynecologist. I'm just gonna be a gynecologist. People played me, they joked. So like, oh, you're gonna be in people's vagina. And so I'm just like, okay, so I went on and I was, like you said, I was working with an after school care, just working with kids, talking to them. And as I maneuvered through my second year in college, that's when I realized I'm not great at math. Um, and so I hated math. I hated chemistry. I didn't like it. And so I really grew close to psychology at the beginning. And so after a while, I ended up at Emory Autism Center, and I worked with kids and families. And I said, and I literally Googled at this time, this was 2012, I Googled what to do when you want to work with kids and families. And school counselor was the first one that popped up. So I went ahead and got my master's in school counseling after I finished psychology. And then as I worked in the schools, I realized my natural ability to lead brought me to getting another master's in education. And then I started my doctorate in education. And so I knew when I started my doctorate, I knew I was going to be. I was like, yeah, I'm going to finish this.
And the funny thing about it, as we're talking, I remember the day you were in church and the woman prophesied to you and told you you were going to be a doctor. And that
Really?
just came back to my
I don't remember that.
I remember that. And so with that, she said, I see you being a doctor. He's at Restoration Ministries with Pastor Perry and Brenda. And that just came back to my remembrance. And as we're talking, I'm like, oh my God, you thought it was going to be in pediatrics.
Yes.
You see how God is so,
oh my
we may
God.
not be clear.
Right.
Maybe clear. God may give us a piece of the puzzle. And then as I'm sitting here having this conversation with you, it's like God downloaded it. I told her that at Restoration Ministries in her teenage years, but she didn't know the full picture.
Yeah.
And that's amazing how God is. He'll tell you just a little piece of it. You may not understand the wholeness of what he's saying. But then as you navigate life, it starts to unfold, and here you are today, fulfilling the prophecy that woman had spoke over your life.
Said that thing. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh.
Wow. See, and that's one thing I want you guys to know, that sometimes God may speak a word of your life, and sometimes you may not know or understand what God is doing in that season or in that time. But I just want to encourage you to let you know God is not going to leave you or forsake you. God will walk you and navigate you through that thing. And if you just trust and believe in God, God will direct your path, and you will be able to say, wow, I can't believe that because it's just download. And sometimes God speaks a word over your life and you may forget it.
Yeah.
But he's so great where he always have someone to remind you, have someone that was there to witness it. Yeah. And that's another thing about, even in this journey of uncertainty, God is just amazing where it just starts to unfold. And I just want to encourage you on today, because you may be navigating in life and you may not know what to do, or you may have heard something and you say, God, I just can't see it. But what do you speak to the people who have felt like God has spoken the word and they have not yet seen it be fulfilled in their life? I know we're not experts, but I just want you to just drop a piece in a nugget to kind of give somebody some hope.
When you are in a sense, when you are in a stage of uncertainty, and you know without a shadow of a doubt that God gave you a word, I implore you, I encourage you to hold on to that. I know it's hard. And I say that with everything in me. When I say I went through waiting until I was married, to actually having sex, to actually going back to waiting, it's so hard to be like, you know what, I don't know. And I'm just saying, for this instance, I don't know if I'm going to get the husband that I want. I don't know. Maybe I'm meant to be single. If you don't have that desire and that's not in you, you are not meant to be single. Because that's not the word. That's not the word of God. You don't truly have that desire in your heart, if you don't truly feel like that's something that God put in you, you're not meant to be single. But it's just a sidebar. I don't know why I'm talking about this, but this is just a sidebar. You're not meant to be single. The thing is, you're meant to enjoy singleness, and you're meant to enjoy what you can do for the God in your singleness. Because even in, I would say, I think it's Second Corinthians, Paul talks about the gift of singleness and the gift of marriage. And so he talks about you have an advantage with being single because you don't have to worry about the worldly things. When you are married, you have to worry about your wife or your husband. You have to worry about their wants and their needs. And so when you are single, you got to worry about yourself. You wake up, you got to worry about what you want, but you don't have to worry about another person. So be content in the season of uncertainty. And so whatever place that you find yourself in, and that's the word too, whatever place that you find yourself in, be content. I say be happy, be joyful, be understanding, be patient when you're in uncertainty, because it's going to come. Whatever it is, God told me I'm going to be in Washington, D.C. I'm just telling everybody at this point, I'm sorry. God said, you're finna move to Washington, D.C. I don't know when that is. Yet, here we are on a cruise, and I'm living my life, okay? Because I'm not sitting here waiting around for when I'm finna be in Washington, D.C. I see the signs, but I'm not sitting here like, well, God said I'm about to be in Washington, D.C., so I'm finna sit at home and save my money until I be in Washington, D.C. No. God wants you to enjoy your life. He done gave you the revelation. He done gave you the word. He wants you to do what you need to do until it's time. Because it's about to come when he say, boom, that's your husband. Boom, here's Washington, D.C. Boom, there's your parents. They got this going on. Boom, there's your sister. She ended up getting the job that you told her she would get. These are the things that God will end up revealing to you in time. The word tells us, my thoughts are not like your thoughts. My ways are not like your ways. So when you sit there and you think through, oh, well, this is how it's going to happen. It's not going to happen like that. It's not going to happen like that. If you thought it, throw it out. Throw it out. We're done. Like, I always say, I'm like, well, maybe I'm gonna meet my husband in the supermarket. I can see it. I'm not gonna meet him in the supermarket. I'm not gonna meet. That's it, because it's my thoughts now. So I automatically just feel like, hey, you know what? He's told me I was gonna be married. He's revealed that I was gonna be married. And I refuse to not believe the prophets that he sent. I refuse to believe the messages that he sent while I was praying, while I was fasting. I refuse that, because I refuse that it's not so. I refuse that. Even when I'm in my dark days and I feel like I'm not enough. Even in my dark days when I feel like, yeah, I don't think God is really going to do these things for me. Maybe I sin so much that God isn't going to fulfill what he said to me. That's another lie from the enemy. That's what happened in uncertainty. The enemy will trick you to make you feel like, I am so sinful and I messed up so much that he's not going to reveal his promises to me. Let me tell you something. The children of Israel were promised to go into the promised land, and they did. No matter what happened with their ancestors, what happened with Moses, they all had their individual walks of life, but he still fulfilled his promise. So don't ever sit there and think that you did something so bad that you sat there and said, oh my God, I messed up so bad. I haven't been doing what God told me to do. I haven't been waiting. I haven't been not drinking. I haven't been just eating vegetables. No, God prophesied that thing to you. The word tells us that his prophets are not liars. He's going to fulfill his prophecy. So when you sit there, and I'm not saying you go on and do whatever you want either, okay? Right. I'm not saying that, because you can prolong it and you'll benefit the consequences of whatever you do, right? So you want to go out there and be crazy, you be crazy by yourself. And God is like, I had your husband yesterday, but you want to sit here and have sex with random bozo on the ship. Okay. So the thing is, I'm not saying that either, but what I'm saying is you have to be completely true to yourself, and you have to understand and believe that God is truly for you and with you, and he does not lie. He is not man. Man lie. Man lie. She can lie to me. I can lie to her. We can lie, we can deceive, we can do all of those things. And we don't have a reason to. We may not have a reason, but it's very, very possible to do that. But God is not going to lie. So when you are in the season of uncertainty, always fall back on, I'm going to be patient. That's the fruit of the Spirit. I'm going to continue to be kind. I'm going to continue to have self-control. I'm going to continue to be forgiving. I'm going to continue to be I'm going to be long suffering with my friends and my family. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are the things that's going to come and bless you. But when you sit there and you say, well, I'm waiting for my husband, but you over here treating your friend like crap, that's real.
That's really, that's real.
You treat your friend like crap, but you waiting on your husband. Your husband's not going to come to you, sweetheart. It's the truth.
Right.
Because you may say, oh, what they got to do with my husband? What they got to do with? Oh, it got a lot. It got to do with your character.
Come on.
It got to do with your character. How you think you going to be with a man and you sitting over here and treating your best friend, the woman that you trust everything with, like crap? That don't even make sense. So you're not going to treat your husband because you got to treat him better than her. So it don't make sense. So until you get those character flaws out of your system, your husband not going to come. That career that you've been wanting and preparing for and got your resume together, you got all your experiences, but you train all your coworkers like they crap and they underneath you, you're not going to get that career. The money that you think is supposed to be flowing to you and you're not paying your tithes, God can't trust you with money. All the people you see, homeless people, and I'm not saying they truly homeless, but it's all about your heart. It's your heart intents, because the God said give joyfully, right? So when you give and you sit there and say, well, they probably using their own drugs, he ain't finna bless you. You're not even giving joyfully. I'm sorry, that's the sad truth, but people they don't want to hear that. The sad truth is, I'm gonna give you $5, but I'm gonna say you finna use on drugs, whatever. Hopefully God bless me. He not. You just lost $5. And that's the truth, because that's in the word. And so when you sit there and you say, I'm waiting and I'm uncertain about all of these things in my life, let's think about everything, every other category in your life, because you have more than just whatever you're waiting on. Whatever you're uncertain about. If you're uncertain about your health, why are you still going to Burger King? And you're not researching holistic health, right? I'm uncertain about my health, but I'm finna go up to McDonald's and JJ's fish. But I'm uncertain I'm praying God heal me. That don't make sense. I'm sorry. I may be stepping on toes, but I'm sorry. I'm sitting here like, God help us. Because it's like, if I'm concerned about my health, I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna drink 2 gallons of alcohol but I want God to bless me. I want God to heal me. God, I'm sorry. You're not. That's why he said he give you dominion over everything on this earth. So yeah, you can do all those things that you want to do. You can drink and eat and be merry. He said that. That's cool. But when it's time to use wisdom, and you don't do it, he can't. What can we do? The word says faith without works is dead. So I'm having faith in God, but I'm sitting here to think that he gonna undo all my bad habits. I know a person that got diagnosed with lung cancer, but you still smoking cigarettes. And you think that person gonna heal you? Absolutely not. I'm sorry. It's the truth, and it's the harsh truth. Those are friends that you need to tell you the harsh truth.
Yes, yeah.
You know?
You're never on my side. That's what you feel. You never pick my side. I said, if you want a friend that picks your side all the time, I'm not that one. I'm going to tell you the truth.
I feel like you should still pick my side sometimes.
When you're right, I do. But anyways, after like, okay, as we continue on, if you could pull up the stuff off the page and look at some of the comments and just read something that the viewers may be asking questions at this time. But as you're looking through that, when you were talking, it reminded me about something that Dr. Darius Daniels had said about the season of announcement and the season of fulfillment. And the season of announcement is different from the season of fulfillment. So when God speaks a word, or you hear a word, or you know you're going a certain direction, it's not the same moment or season of the season of fulfillment. So if you could see if there's some questions in the comments, and let's talk about it. And y'all just drop some experience in there, or drop anything in there that on the topic. If we're speaking truth, give us some hearts, share this live, because we just want as many people that are viewing, or we want people to see what God is doing in Women's Empowerment Coffee Break. We want to empower women, and we thank Dr. Shanate Porter for just being real, because sometimes people want to pat on the back, oh, it's going to be okay. Right. But no, sometimes we need the real hardcore truth about this moment of waiting, and you're not doing right, or you're not going the way you should.
Yeah.
But you still like, oh, it's gonna happen for me. Right. But you gotta work it out. You gotta go to God and say, God, work this thing out in my life. Work it out. Yeah. So is there any questions in the comments?
It's a lot
of questions. Okay. Okay. That's all right. My husband is one supporter.
I love him.
Okay.
Okay. How can I turn uncertainty into an opportunity for growth? So when you are uncertain about a thing, whatever it is, that is the time for you to pray, fast, meditate the most. And that is the time for you to be quiet the most. That is the time for you to listen the most. And that takes a lot of growth. It takes growth on your end in regards to the people around you, the experiences that you have. You can't react to everything that happens to you when you're in this season of uncertainty. You can't react because you don't know who can be the person that blesses you. You know, who's going to be the person that's going to be your window or door of opportunity. So you have to be very careful about your reaction. You have to be careful about what you put into your spirit, because if you go on social media, you're uncertain about your career, and all you're looking at is things that is taking you away from what your career is, that's the enemy. Because our God already promised you what he promised you. So it takes a lot of self-control to experience not having to give in to what's on social media. It takes a lot of experience and self-control for you to say, I'm not going to go on social media. Right. And so that's a thing. That's how you can turn that opportunity for growth. How do we maintain hope and motivation when the path ahead is unclear? I would say focus on other things. That's just real.
Yeah.
Focus on other things. If I'm unclear, which I have been, I'm unclear about my career. So I'm about to focus on other stuff that's going right. Right? The things that are going right, focus on that. My family, they're going right. I'm able to support them as much as I can. So I'm about to focus on them. Right? My friendships, that's going right. I'm about to focus on that. Right? And so there are so many things in your life that's going right. I'm exercising, I'm eating right. I can focus on that. A lot of times we get so boggled with the things that aren't going so well, and we're asking God for clarity. We focus on that so much that we neglect all the other stuff. So don't neglect your health, don't neglect your exercise, your eating, your family, your spirituality, and your friendships. Don't neglect these things because you're so focused on this thing that God gave you. Because then you become deficient in that area. So I would say focus on the other things that's going right. Focus on the things that God already gave you direction in. What biblical examples of overcoming uncertainty can inspire the journey? Also, Rochelle, do you know of any? What biblical examples of overcoming uncertainty can inspire my journey? Also, Rochelle, do you know of any? So one example that I do know, and you can think of one while I'm talking, is Sarah and Abraham. And Sarah, she was promised by God that she would have the next heir to God's promises in the next generation of Israel. And so technically she ended up having Isaac. But before that, Sarah was like, I'm too old to have kids. I'm too old to have kids. So why would God bless me now? He's gonna have to. And so an angel or a prophet, I don't know who said it to Sarah. Angel. An angel came to Sarah and she said, look, I don't know. So
Well, I think that God had Abraham.
so Abraham, he came to Abraham and he told him Sarah's gonna have a child. Because now Abraham and Sarai at the time, Sarai, end up saying, well, we're not gonna have a kid, so I'm gonna go ahead and have sex with Hagar and have a child. And she had Ishmael, which a lot of Muslims, a lot of people don't know this, but a lot of Muslims came from that portion of generation. But Sarai, she ended up laughing.
Yeah.
She ended up laughing. She was like, I'm not gonna have no kids. I ain't gonna have no kids. Abraham didn't believe it either. Let's just be real. But God told. So she ended up having Isaac, which was the person that God said would carry the generations. Even though God still blessed Ishmael and that generation and Hagar, he still ended up blessing that generation, but the true generation of the Israelites and all of those things came from Abraham and Sarah, but it took a while, and she didn't believe it. But it ended up happening. So that's a story right at the beginning of Genesis. That's a story that I would say that you can look at and truly see how your faith is very important in a time of uncertainty.
And then we have like Joseph
Oh,
when he had the dream, and when he goes from having this dream, wearing the coat of many colors, and then brothers get jealous because he's held
what
the
was the dream? What was the dream?
that he will be like ruler over them. His sheaves like of hay would like bow down to his, and it basically made them intimidated. So they're like, "Oh, so you're gonna be my younger brother's gonna rule over me?" They jealous, and they wanted to kill him, but the brother saved them, and they sold him into slavery. Goes to Potiphar's house. Things are going well. Then Potiphar's wife come after him. Then he goes to prison. So then I may think if I was Joseph, like, what happened to the dream, God?
Right.
Like, what happened?
I thought you told me I was going to be ruler over them, but here I am in prison.
Right. And see, I feel like though that moment, I don't know, Joseph could have been uncertain about maybe I didn't see that right.
You definitely going to be uncertain in prison.
Right. So, and then God made an opportunity for it all to come together.
Mm.
And then he becomes second in command. And it manifests. And that's a perfect example of a moment of navigating life through uncertainty.
Mm. And I think this is good. What spiritual practices can help me hear God's voice more clearly in my career decisions. Even in any decision, I feel like not only just career, what spiritual practices can you have to help you hear clearly? I talked about it at the beginning. I know people don't want to do it. Fasting.
Yeah.
Fasting and prayer. It took me a couple of years for people to, well, not for people, I'm sorry, I'm looking at this thing, but it took me a few years to understand. Yeah. Oh, it's on there. No. So it took me a while to basically understand what God needed me to do in certain practices. So I had to, I'm not a morning person at all, not even for work. Anybody that's my coworker, shout me out, say what you need to say. I'm always even late for work. But I had to end up making a practice of having an alarm on my phone to pray. It's embarrassing to say, but I have 3 alarms that set on my phone to just pray. Because I know, one, I have undiagnosed ADHD. So I would sit there and I'll be into whatever I'm into at the time, and I would forget to pray. Not that I don't love God, but I would forget to pray and be like, I don't know where the time went. And I'm praying the next day, and I ain't prayed to God all day. So look at it like God is your boyfriend or your girlfriend. And you sit there and you ain't talked to your boyfriend or your girlfriend all day. What you think they're gonna think? You cheating or you got something going on, right? So for me, one of the practices was always a timer on my alarm. Another practice was fasting when things went crazy. If I ever say to myself, God dang, things are crazy right now, it's time for me to fast. Even if it's 3 days, even if you can't do, even if you do one day, do 1 day of fasting, no food, just water, and pray. That'll make all the difference. Then up it to 2 days, up it to 3 days. And then you may say, you know what, I'm going to do the Daniel fast for 21 days, just fruits and vegetables. Then you want to say, I'll do 40 days, no meat and no bread, or no music, or no social media, or whatever you think that gets you off focus. Just fast. Fast. Give up something. Sacrifice something that you do every day. One something. Even our pastors back in the day would say, if you don't want to do food, sacrifice something else. You know what I'm saying? If you always on the phone, don't be on the phone all day. Right? Do a 6 to 6 fast. You know what I'm saying? If you say, you know what, I'm gonna eat, but I ain't gonna not eat all day. Okay, from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Just don't eat nothing but water. And then after 6 p.m. eat dinner. Right? So these are things that you can do. God is going to honor all of that because you are sacrificing something for him. It's not fasting how it is back in the Jewish days. It's, well, in the Old Testament, it's fasting for insight, right? And so now we're gaining insight. And so that's a spiritual practice. fast in Proverbs. You're speaking my yes, Jamie. In what ways does God hand in you career opportunities and challenges shaped by your background? Like I said, I've been saved since 2007. I thank God for Rochelle. I thank God for Rakita for even bringing me to the faith. I didn't grow up as far as my parents, my grandma, she went to church. I went to church with her during the summers, but I didn't really like know God for myself. And my friends, they end up doing something for me that was bigger and that was more consistent. Like I said, my grandma, she bought me like this big teen Bible that I was very interested in. I always read it. And I always think about that, and I'm like, oh, I thank God for my grandma too, because I was interested in understanding the Bible during that times too. But I wasn't saved yet when she gave it to me, when she bought it for me. And then, like 2 years later, Rochelle, her sister, they came around, and that's when I just received Jesus Christ. So I think it's important that you get saved as soon as possible. But if you're getting saved or you've gotten saved as an adult, I think it's very important that you evaluate your circle and that you evaluate people that's around you, because that influence everything that you do a lot. You'll end up being a carnal minded Christian, and you can look that up. Carnal minded, KARNAL minded. And so you don't want to be that. So you got to look that up, see what it is. What might God be teaching me through the uncertainties and setbacks I face in my career? A lot of times it may be your character flaws. A lot of times it may be who you surround yourself with. A lot of times it may be your focus. So sometimes I may not be focused on what God truly called me to do, but I'm focused on something else. And if you're not doing what God wants you to do, and you're not in the path that God wants you to take, and you're not making the sacrifices, whether it go in the training, whether it's in the education that you need to take, or whatever, because God told you you're going to be a doctor, but you're not in a doctor. You got to make sure, how do my relationships influence my career decisions? How can I ensure that both align with God's plan? I would say in my own testimony that in my own relationship that I had with my fiance, which was a very new situation. That's why I referred to it a couple of times. But I know that God has called me to do something else in my career. And if he didn't want to be where I wanted to be, it's not meant to be. It doesn't align with what God said. So now, guess what? The relationship's gone. And I had to gracefully leave. I didn't leave in a bad feeling. We're cool, whatever, but gracefully. Okay, we're not in the same place. So a lot of times that happens too in your friendships. Rochelle, how can I practice self care and spiritual discipline to stay grounded during periods of career and relationship uncertainty?
I guess from what I would say is that in relationship uncertainty, I feel like staying grounded is basically, for me, I know that when I was 18 years old, I was prophesied to you're going to be a pastor's wife. And that set the standard for me. So when I was talking to people and they said they didn't even go to church, that was done. It was like, I know God has his way of changing things around, but I said, you got to meet me with something. It was a standard. It's like, I know where I'm going. So I always say, God, if he's not the right one, take him away, take him away. But see, God always had Josiah in my presence. And he always was in the back of my mind. And even in that moment of navigating life, God was like, he was there. Like, this is the person for you. And so when that timing came, because it wasn't time, he was there in my presence. We were friends, but when the God made that opportunity available, we began to be in a serious relationship, and now we're married. Been married almost 11 years. But in that, it was like navigating, like, what is God saying, and trusting God and saying, Lord, you'll give me that spirit of discernment to know if that person is the one, even in career. Just trust God. Just know that if you continue to be like, okay, God, I want to know where is my space, where's my area of ministry in the workplace. And when God told me social work, that's why I did it. It's because I had a heart for people. And so God has now transitioned me from social work to now.
So I wanted to ask you about that. Yeah. I've become the interviewer right now. I wanted to ask you, because I always think about that moment when, as a married woman, at this time you had 3 kids, when God told you, I want you're going to Princeton, at the university, Princeton. You were in Alabama at the time, and Princeton is in New Jersey. And that wasn't revealed to your husband at the time.
No.
It wasn't revealed to your husband. It wasn't revealed to anybody else around you.
Right.
So how did you navigate that in regards to your faith and understanding that this is a time of uncertainty? Like, what did you do? Like,
the first thing I did was tell my husband, like, this is what God is telling me. This is what God is telling me. At first he was like, so what am I supposed to do? Just give up, what I'm doing? And so I was okay with not doing what I thought God was saying, because I went and I prayed about it, and I said, Lord, I'm not going to go against my husband.
Right.
So if this is not something that we're both on page with, I can't apply. I can't do it, because he is the head over me, and I'm not going to allow anything to interrupt our marriage. And I said, God, you got to make it clear. So I left it alone, and he came back to me, and he said, go ahead and apply. And if the Lord is
your husband,
yes, he came back to me.
So that means he went and prayed about something.
Right.
Okay.
He had to do something.
Yeah.
So he come back to me and said, apply, and if you get accepted, you can go. And that gave me that was God.
Okay. That was another confirmation.
That was confirmation, because my husband, when he's firm, he's firm. Mm-hmm. There's no changing that. And I respect him as the head of our family.
Yes.
And so I'm never going to go against him.
Yeah.
And so when he came back, I said that had to be God.
Yeah.
And so I had permission from not only God, but from my husband.
So that's what made you continue when you got through it. But even when it was like, he may not, we don't know if he's.
I said this to God. I said, Lord, I said, we are one. So this move not only has to benefit me, but it also has to benefit him. So if we're going to make this move, you have to open up a window of opportunity for him.
Yes.
And even it didn't happen at the time we moved, but we still believe and we trust God.
Come on.
And 2 months later, the door opened, and he got appointed to church.
And both of y'all believed.
We both believed.
That's crazy. Well, yeah, that was like, as we were talking, I'm like, that was a crazy time. It was a crazy time for me to be your friend, too.
Navigating through that. But I really enjoyed this interview.
It was so good.
It was so great. We were on the cruise, and we decided that even though that I plan to be on this cruise, I said I still want to be able to do the work in the ministry. And so we took time out to say we're going to still do the interview. We're going to do it in person, and we're going to make this thing work.
Yeah.
So I thank you for taking the opportunity of doing this, and empowering and pushing people to help them navigate life of uncertainty. So if this has blessed you, please share it. Tag somebody. If you are going through this uncertain thing, go to God and pray and say, God, direct me, lead me, show me the way.
Yeah.
And I just want to thank you for joining in. You guys have been blessing me every week after week, and it's been a true blessing to me. So stay tuned. Next week we have Alicia Brown, and her topic that she will be discussing is from waiting to raising, waiting unto marriage and to raising children, being married and raising children. And I believe her story will truly bless you. So please tune in next week, June 28th, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, only on the Women's Empowerment Network. Thank you guys and see you later.